And I believe you're live.
Excellent. All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the September 26th meeting of the Arts and Public Places Committee. Unfortunately, Genevieve is A, traveling, and B, sick. So you are stuck with me for the remainder of the evening. But hopefully we can get through this and have a good time and still love each other at the end. So cool. Joe, if you don't mind taking the roll call for us, please.
I will. Genevieve is absent. David.
Here.
Joe is here. Lynn.
Here.
Jim.
Here.
Cynthia.
Present.
Barbara.
Here.
And Krissa.
Here.
Oh, right on. Cool. Excellent.
Excellent.
Not everybody.
All right. Everybody's here. Cool. All right. Hopefully everybody had a chance to view the agenda. If you didn't, hopefully you'll get that. Do we have approval for the agenda? All those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Fantastic. Hopefully everyone also got a chance to review the minutes from the July 25th meeting, which seems like it's decades ago for some strange reason. I don't know why it seems so far back behind. But all those in favor of the July 25th minutes, say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, we have we have approval of the minutes. Excellent. All right, so we're going to jump right into it at the speed of art. Committee reports, anything from the Poet Laureate?
Hi, David. Hi, everyone. It's Barbara. We're still working on the paperwork for the changes we mentioned back in our July meeting of the process changes we're making to the selection of the Poet Laureate, and we're trying to align that with the current mayor's youth poetry program. And we'll have the paperwork for your approval by next month, and we'll vote on it at the next meeting. Secondly, Maggie still has not received her last payment, and I know she sent it to Genevieve. David, I don't know if you can follow up with the mayor's office or if Brian's on the call, if he has any suggestions for us about getting that to her.
Yeah, I know there's been.
I know because of our budget. So
yeah, don't get me started there. Okay, I'll look into that and reach out to Brian.
I'm making a note.
Excellent.
Thanks, guys. And that's it for me.
Cool. I know Genevieve is one who usually gets the mural updates. I don't have anything unless someone else has anything, any mural updates. All right, we're gonna move on. All right, cool. A musical introduction. That's fantastic. I love that part.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Grants updates.
I do. So I've been having back and forth with the State Arts Council about funding or potential grants for the Westgate Circle project. And it looks like, depending on the timing, there are two separate grants that we can pursue. One is for planning and the other is for the project itself. The planning grant is $10,000. They actually recently changed the amount for projects. It's now $30,000. That's actually a reduction in what they have had in the past per project. The deadline for either of those is not until January, so there's kind of plenty of time to work towards that. And especially now that we've partnered with the County Arts Council, that will facilitate being able to apply for those and to kind of work with them to develop that proposal. So that's pretty good news. It was a little surprising, the kind of new cap on the per project, but it's definitely the type of project that they have supported in the past, at both in planning and execution. So I'll keep you posted as that conversation develops.
Mr. Martin, you had your hand up.
Lynn, if you want to go first, I'll hold off.
No, Jim,
Okay.
you were first.
My question was very simple. What is the timeline on this project for the circle? Do you have any idea what that is? In other words, we're talking about January for planning money?
Yeah, and that, I mean, it will also depend on what state the project is in, and that a lot of that will actually depend on approvals from the city. Like if we're even at a point where we've forwarded like the finalists for review. It's so the answer is I don't know exactly because it has to go through a city process before we can formally apply. I'm keeping that end of January deadline in focus, and I think we'll just see and regardless, even if we meet that deadline, like we're free to submit a proposal on that timeline. We would not get the funding for that until March or April, which we would also have to figure into the project itself.
Why would we be involved? Is this planning money for the construction of or installation or what's the planning money for?
It can actually be for a whole bunch of stuff. It really depends on where you are in the project. So it can be for everything from setting up public forums, if that's where you are in your process, or it can actually be to offset like permitting costs that might be incurred from the city. So they actually kind of break it down into a whole bunch of the cool thing is you can target it to some part of your process, and so there's some flexibility built into it.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim. Ms. Lynn?
Good evening, everyone. So, Joe, quick question. If we are partnering with the Arts Council, does that mean that they will get a share of the grant, or they will share in the cost of the installation?
That is a
what that
great
means?
that is a great question that I cannot answer because Genevieve has been more in touch with them. So I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay, it would be great if we could have a review of that. Somebody could make
Sure.
a note
Yep.
that we have a review of that prior to any planning to submit a grant
Yes.
application, so that we're all on the same page. And we may need to have a memorandum of understanding with the Arts Council before we submit.
Yep, understood.
Thank you.
I'm making a note.
Other questions for Joe? Okay, cool. Moving on to public outreach. I do have something to report on that front. Let me gather my thoughts here. So last Wednesday, I attended the City Doc programming meeting at City Hall from 5 to 7. I was about half an hour late, so I missed some of the presentation, but just a high level of some of the stuff they discussed. I came in there talking about the building of a flood barrier. That's probably the first process to go up. I guess you don't want to build a whole new place and have it flood. Annapolis is prone to flooding. So I guess that's number one, the process. 3-year project expected to start spring of 2024, basically at the end of the boat show season. And it will take place in Susan Campbell Park. There were some flyers to go with this. I was trying to grab those before our meeting, but I wasn't able to in time. But if I grab them, I'll put the deck in an email and let you guys check out the presentation. Chris Haley spoke, talking about the diversity legacy, looking to incorporate all legacy of Annapolis, basically make sure all food groups are represented in their park from a visual perspective. Through symbols, talking about cultural legacy walkabout, moving the Alex Haley statue at some point, I guess, to make room for stuff, including a timeline, promenade, interactive fountain, a sculpture, and some other extras that will kind of basically highlight the legacy of all of Annapolis, basically. So that's something he spoke about, which is actually kind of cool. They also spoke about a welcome center, the Maritime Welcome Center. And this, I guess, based on what I'm talking about, will replace the Dock Masters building. And it would be, if you're standing looking out at the Susan Campbell Park, To the right side of that area is where they're going to build a maritime welcome center, floating dock, education center. Let's see what else is going on here. Conference center, museum, bathroom, showers, 3 levels, raw bar, entertainment. So they got big plans for this cool little maritime welcome center that would be basically on the other side towards the back near the water, near where Susan Campbell Park is. So that was that. Following the presentations, we broke out into breakout sessions. I think there was a business presentation, a business breakout, a legacy breakout, and a programming breakout. I joined the programming breakout. Was joined there by Kristen Peronis, I believe is her name, if I pronounced her name correctly. She's with the Visit Annapolis. Alice Estrada, who I think is with Maritime, and Joanne Vaughn, who's with Plein Air. They do painting exhibits and stuff of that nature. And the goal of that subcommittee was basically just to talk about potential programming for what you could put down on the new and improved city dock. Of course, everything from concerts to art to sculptures to Tai Chi and yoga and a whole host of things that we brainstorm about. Some things to look for: family education, educational maritime heritage. It's making sure it's accessible, which is another thing. Arts. Couple of things of concern, obviously, is maintenance and security are big things that came, kind of topics that came up, because again, you want to make sure you can put all this stuff out on the city dock. You want to make sure it's secure, people are safe, that sort of bit. The other thing to think about too is quality over quantity. As this is a brand new park, we don't want to like overload it with a whole bunch of stuff. We want to start with established groups first. So, to kind of start that process slow and crawl, walk, run approach. So start with established groups that have events down there and kind of work our way up to other groups that are less established to give them an opportunity to perform as well. Also, sorry, Brian Callahan was also there at the meeting as well. I don't know if there's a plan regroup of this committee again, but if there is, I'll keep you guys posted and let you know the comments and thoughts that came out of that meeting as well. Any questions, concerns, comments about that? All right.
David,
Let's
this
move
is
on,
Krista.
shall we? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, was that meeting open to anybody or was it an invite meeting?
I got an invite, but there were, I got an invite personally. I'm not sure if it was open to the general public. There were about 35 to 40 folks there, represented all over the place. So there's some folks there, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay.
One of the things that I did, I don't know if you can call it outreach or not, but I did attend the Songwriters Festival that was happening last weekend. Did any of you guys? Pardon?
Did you go see Blondie?
I did not see Blondie. I focused on the songwriters as opposed to the acts, which were all free at all the various venues. One thing I did want to point out, and I don't know if this is the place to do it or not with regards to outreach, is that we had several of our local musicians and songwriters that were part of it. And at some of their featured events, there wasn't as much of a crowd as I would have liked to have seen. And I wondered, I had brought this up to Genevieve as a sidebar last week after I attended the event or the events, because I did each day. I did Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I did not do Thursday. But I just wondered if there was a little more of a role that we could perhaps help with regards to our local artists and promoting them and that sort of thing. So I just wanted to put that out there. I don't have any plans or anything like that, but this is going to be an event that they're going to continue to do, I believe, each year. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to throw it out there and see if anybody else had any feedback on it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, Krista, because I mean, our band played there for Dinner Under Stars, or no, it was First Sundays. And that's when I found out that other things were going on besides the Blondie concert. But it was, again, they're little small little cards that were kind of placed on one of the restaurants we're in. So I wasn't aware there was a whole big, festival attached to that. So maybe they could have, I didn't know a lot about some of the smaller performances, and maybe that's because, you know, again, I don't go downtown that much. But I don't know, maybe I didn't see anything on social media as well. I see social media about everything else on there, on IG. I mean, Kunta Kinte and all the other festivals that are going on. There's plenty of stuff on social media, but I didn't see anything there. But
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah,
it's
I
just
agree
not-
with you. You know, the acts that came up were a lot of these songwriters are songwriters that have written numerous #1 hits. And the opportunity to, you know, have them in town, and, you know, some of them are actual artists, but there are many of them that are, professional songwriters who are writing for, like, you know, big acts like Garth Brooks and Carrie Underwood. And some of the people I met just had a record-breaking hit on the country charts that I think it broke all the records. I think it was on #1 for like 6 weeks. And there's 3 members that were on the songwriting team, and 2 of them were in town singing other songs that they've written, like for Kobe Collet and, you know, different people. I mean, I could go on. And I just don't think that our town really realized what a treat this was, to be able to have these acts come in from all over the country, and then also have our singer-songwriters featured as well, alongside with them. And I just, like you said, I don't think there was enough advertising on their part. I think we could maybe help with that maybe in the future with regards to outreach. I think the bigger acts like Blondie and Leanne Rimes, Patty Griffin, Michelle Branch, I think people heard about those events,
Right.
but not the free events that were at all the other venues. So at any rate, I just kind of wanted to give it a little attention today at our meeting, and just say how amazing it really was. I mean, there was just so much talent, and the smaller acts, you know, at these venues were free for the most part. I think there may have been a paid one on a boat also. I think one of the larger concert boats that goes out had an act on it as well. But at any rate, I'd like to, you know, see if maybe we could do something with that leading up. I'll touch base with Genevieve too, because she probably knows who the contacts are at Ram's Head.
Yeah, that was my question. Does anybody know who put on the festival, or any of the folks involved in the organization?
Yeah, it's a particular group. They do these festivals. They do one also down in the Keys also. And Ram's Head helps with the venues and helps to organize it. So again, it's only the second year,
Okay.
but I'd like to see there be, you know, more of an understanding before it hits, not just reporting afterwards, which I think we got some reporting after, and I think the week of, so I think the Capitol covered it, but there just wasn't enough, in my opinion, leading up to it. So I'd like to see, you know, more turnout. Some of the venues had great turnout, and others not so much, and I think we can do better with that as a town. But it was just really a treat to have them all in town. They were all excellent. Everyone that I attended was just, the talent was just off the charts.
That's awesome. Okay, yeah. Okay, we'll see if we can connect with them maybe next year, a little earlier in the mix, and at least help them out with some of the publicity. That's where I saw, as a matter of fact, I was in Ram's Head, as a matter of fact. That's where I saw the promotion for the festival in the first place. So, okay, but thanks, Kristen. Appreciate that. All right. Anybody else for public outreach? Oh, sign, Brian.
Oh, I was just gonna say, the festival went really well, much better than last year, and they're really excited for next year. We're already starting to work on that. Ram's Head bought the festival in Key West, and they are the ones doing this event. So they along with BMI and Nashville promoted it really well. But Chris is right. A lot of locals, you know, didn't come out, but it was really successful. So
Cool.
Look for it for next year, next September.
Cool. Yes, Ms. Lynn.
I was just going to say that the Songwriters Festival, to me, seemed as though it is a for-profit event. And Brian just confirmed that, because he said the Ram's Head owns it. So they wouldn't be eligible for our grants. I'm sure
80% of their performances are free and open to the public, so they can get our grant funds for those.
Yeah,
If-
huge.
if they're not a nonprofit, they're eligible for our grants. I
I
don't
might
think
be
Well, I
wrong
didn't
about
say
that, but
anything.
as
Yeah,
long
I
as
don't
they're
think-
open, free to the public, I think that we can support them.
I think that they would
I
need to
didn't
be
say anything. Go
a
ahead. Go ahead.
nonprofit entity. I cannot imagine that we give grants to for-profit entities, but maybe we do.
Was
I have
anybody
the, I'm
talking
sorry,
about
Krista,
grant
I have the
money?
floor. Hang on a second. I have the floor. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. And the other thing is, I think when we think about festivals, we think about like the film festival. And I think that that's something that is geared to local audiences. I'm not sure that that the Songwriters Festival is the same. So we may not want to think about it in the same way. I think it was great. I mean, I enjoyed Blondie and it seemed to be cool, but if Ram's Head owns it, then it would be a completely different story for us.
Are you done? Can I jump in?
Well, normally you wait to be called on by the chair.
She can't raise her hand because she's on the phone. Go ahead, Chris.
David, can I chime in?
Go ahead, Crystal, please.
So I wasn't at all mentioning anything about grant money at all. What I was talking about was the free sessions that were at various places throughout the town. Like I said, I did not do Leanne Rhymes. I did not do Blondie. I did not do Michelle Branch or Patty Griffin. What I went to was the sessions. They were sit downs with 2 or 3 artists for an hour, and then they rotated and they brought in another 2 or 3 artists for an hour. And then at times they rotated yet again. And these were placed at various places throughout Annapolis for the sessions, and they were completely free. And my point tonight was not about any grant money. I didn't mention anything about giving them any money, but my thought is that for outreach, maybe we could try to help support with regards to our local artists who are included in the program and who were featured at the free sessions.
Yeah, that's sort of what I took from it. It wasn't really about more. I mean, again, the whole point of outreach is to reach out to other organizations to help to support them as much as they support us. I mean, the funding thing, that's a whole nother thing. I mean, they'd have to kind of submit a pros, and I guess we have to get Ashley in terms of whether or not, since Ram's Head owns it, and I know they're not a 501(c), so that's a whole nother lane that I'm not going to go through tonight anyway. So we can table that for another time. If they even come to us and ask for money, we can cross that bridge when we get there. But in terms of just supporting them, I see where Chris is coming from, just basic support of other organizations that promote, especially local artists. I think that's sort of part of what we do anyway, and what we should do, because I think other people support us as well. So, cool. All right, Brian, you can put your hand down now, I think, unless you want to just leave it up for the rest of, there you go, my man, nicely done. All right. Next up is our favorite topic in the entire world, something we want to talk about forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, the budget. I'm sure you've seen, hopefully you've all seen Genevieve's email in terms of the latest approach to our budget. And Joe, keep me honest here. So after months and months and months of screaming at the city, we finally got some money, but we didn't get all the money. We got basically an allowance. So it seems that and I don't know if this is going to be for the rest of the year, but we received some money. We're going to be receiving money on a quarterly basis. Why that's happening, I'm not privy to. And I don't know what the amount is going to be per quarter. But you know, there it is. And of course, basically after all is said and done, with everything that we've have already in the pipe for concerts, Westgate Circle and other things, we have about, have some money left over to spend but I don't know. So we're to be continued in terms of why this process is the way it is and if it'll continue like that. Bless you. Yes, Lynn.
So David, I've been talking with Genevieve about this, and I read the legislation today, and the legislation does not require the city or the county or the comptroller's office to report to us what the amount of the collection is and then what the amount of our portion of that is. You know, we know it's 3%, but We don't know what the dollar amount is
Right.
until the end of the fiscal year. And at the end of the fiscal year, they should be able to tell us. I believe that's how it goes. But anyway, the city of Annapolis has received the money, I believe. And so we should at least know how much we have to spend annually. And we may want to go back and clean up the legislation a little bit, just to make sure, or to just send a letter to the city manager asking, requesting that they tell us how much is available to us for the year. And they would have to do that if we sent them a letter.
So currently they don't have to tell us?
No, it's public information. They have to tell us by law. It's public information. They have to tell us.
Somebody tell them that.
I will.
I know you will. Were you done? I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
I'm sorry.
Martin,
Yes, I
yes,
was
sir.
done.
Okay, your hand was still up. I just want to make sure you were done.
First of all, thank you very much, Lynn. You hit every point that needed to be hit. A, we need to be given information. B, it's our money. It's not the city's money. Now, they're holding it for us because somehow they are able to do that. But the bottom line is we really need to be kept informed. And it is our right to know how much money we will be getting in the year based on the annual collection. And I would like to suggest that if they're going to dole it out, we have a say in how it's doled out. We voted to have a 3 times a year cycle. I had discussed it with Genevieve. I haven't discussed it with the commission, but I do think that maybe it would be better if we did it on a quarterly basis and broke the money down so that we spend it in smaller increments and spread it out among more applicants, as opposed to giving some of the applicants a chunk of the money that's outsized compared to what other people are asking for. Our goal should be to help individual performers and artists, and groups. We should be more inclined to develop a spending limit per quarter, if it's going to be quarterly, or 3 times a year, every third of the year, or however we do it. I'm not arguing about the schedule, which I didn't agree with in the end, but we're there. So what I would like to see us try to do is, I wish we could spend the night talking about it, but we have more important things to do. So I'll stop talking.
That's another action item for the unfinished business, Jen. So if you can table that for a second.
We really need to have a business session of this commission so that we can thrash this out and get our act together, instead of rambling around and waiting for Genevieve or somebody else to have to carry the burden. We should have a plan, and I'll propose one in the interim to our next meeting, and I'll give us some alternatives, and we can look at what that means, and then maybe we can figure out a better way to do this, because we have some people that are asking for a lot of money and some people that are asking for very little, and there just seems to be no equity in it all. Anyway, thank you.
Yes, I know there's an action item here on unfinished business to kind of talk about that a little bit more if we have time. So we can kind of maybe look at maybe one of your synopsis, Jim, and kind of at least chew on that between now and the next meeting. Because I mean, yes, it does impact our schedule, and it impacts everything, how much money we give, because we don't know how much money we have. We don't know who we can support, and we don't know how much. And I know people are like chomping at the bit because they have festivals that are time bound. So, if we're not in that pocket, if we're not all aligned, then it could be problematic for folks who need our support. So, that's something that's come up in the conversation as well. So, like I said, it's an action item on unfinished business. So let's table that for a second, Jim, and let's move on to our panelists. and start that process, and we can come back to this discussion. Thank you. Mark, I think the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra is up first. Is that who's our first guest?
I'm promoting them now.
Excellent. Hello, Paul, are you there?
Okay, you can turn on your video now, Ms. Abernathy.
Have to.
You're not camera shy, are you, Paula?
Sometimes.
Oh, come on, there you go. Hi, how are you?
Good. Good.
Cool. Well, welcome to the committee. I know there's a little bit of confusion, so apologize for that. It's been a lot going on the last couple of days, but thank you for joining us. And you're here to talk about the Friends of the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra Christmas tree ornaments.
Correct. So I can go now?
Floor is yours.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so the Friends of the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra, we're a nonprofit group that supports and fundraises for the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra and the Annapolis Symphony Academy. So this opportunity came to us to provide decorations for the Christmas tree at the city dock this year. And we're interested in doing that. We have not done a lot of research yet on how much it would cost, but the idea is to engage a artist in residence from Maryland Hall to help and design like musical type ornaments. And we hope to get kids from Bates Arts Program and maybe a couple other public schools involved in making the ornaments. So we have little time, but we are really interested in doing it. And so the Christmas tree, the tree lighting, the Annapolis Symphony Academy will play music for the tree lighting. So I think it'd be really nice if we could decorate the tree and just have it all integrative and be really good for Annapolis and for the kids. And so that's my pitch.
Got it. Thank you. Do we have any questions for Paula from the panel? All right, Paula. Well, thank you very much. Like I said, we will.
Hang on. Sorry. I was writing something down.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Just one quick question. If you haven't done a lot of specific research into the cost of this, where did the $2,000 ask come from? Which was in the proposal?
Yeah, I was told by Diana Love, who is on the Annapolis Symphony staff, that 2,000 was the maximum we could apply for. So that's what we're doing. And our friends group had not budgeted any of this in our budget. So we're hoping for enough to cover it.
Thank you.
And that would go towards paying the artist or the supplies or the.
I think the artists would do it for no cost and the kids would do it for no cost. So this would be for supplies and.
Supplies, okay. Cool. All right, cool. I'll write that down. Any questions for anyone else? Okay, thank you, Paul. So the group will reconvene and talk through the process, and we will reach out to you with our decision.
Okay, all right.
Cool. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You
Thank
too.
All right. Next up, I think we have a representation from the Annapolis Jazz and Roots Festival, if I'm correct, Mark?
Whoops.
No?
Okay.
No, I think it's Old Fourth Ward.
Yeah, they're next on the agenda.
Okay. So we have all three of the presentations here, Mark?
Yes.
Okay, you mentioned one earlier. You snuck some people in on me. Okay, cool.
Am I speaking now?
You are. Hi.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi.
I'm very not computer savvy, tech savvy, so I'm sorry. I was trying to figure that out. So hello, everyone. My name is Veronica Grant. I am now the president of Old Fourth Ward, the New Generation, which we just filed paperwork for today to become a nonprofit, so we can try to be a little bit more self-sufficient and doing fundraisers and things of that nature. I'm here to talk to you about Old Fourth Ward Unity Day, which has become a tradition in the greater Clay Street community. It is a free event. It's for the entire community, from young to old. We provide live musical performances with the help of the AIPPC, hopefully, thank you. And resource vendors for the community. So a lot of information and resources that the people in our community could use that may help them in some type of way or form. We provide free food and food, beverages, and drinks for all who attend. We also have adult activities. We had the Chesapeake, the Children's Museum coming out this year, and they're going to provide activities and live animals and all kinds of things for the children. We also have a bingo for prizes. So we have the Stanton Center as well this year. So we had bingo for prizes for the seniors. They're so excited about it. I can't stop hearing about it every time I walk out of my house. Are we going to do when is 4-4 Day? And I'm like, well, we got to wait and see. So, it's just something that the whole community is excited about. They look forward to it every year, and I try to make it happen. Now I have some people working with me finally, so that's great. And I'm just hoping things will get even better and better from now on. The reason that I'm asking for the amount that I'm asking for this year is because the bands are asking for more money. And normally they do it for a less amount. They have been doing it for a less amount, but the cost of living is going up. A dozen of eggs costs like $5-6. So, I'm trying to, with your all help, to raise that money to just get the bands paid. We have the money for the rest of the expenses for the event, which adds up, let me see, probably around $5,000. We've done fundraisers, we sold dinners, we had churches helping us to raise the money. And so we need the money to pay for the entertainment part. And we hope that we will have that with you all's help. We can't do it without you.
Understood.
That's my presentation. And I did send in a presentation. I don't know if you all was able to see it. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's actually six bands. It's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's actually 7 bands,
Okay.
And we don't need the 10, we need 8, because one of the prior bands that was going to play had to cancel because we had to postpone the date until October, so they weren't able to come, who were coming from DC.
Okay. And this is an outdoor event?
It's an outdoor event. It's free. All are welcome. And it's actually a really good event because it lifts the morale of the community, and it gets us all together with all the things that have been happening lately, in the affordable housing or low income community. We need events like this that, bring us together in love and peace. And it's never a problem, and it's always love. And then we can get a message out. So we have also motivational and inspirational speakers and other kind of resources there as well. But we can get a message out to also try to stop the violence in the community, because our young people are dying. They're getting shot, So we're trying to get that message out as well.
Excellent.
So this is something we do annually, and we don't, it's not just, to get together to have fun. It's also to bring resources and a message to the community. And that's, people enjoy it. So that's when we can get a lot of people in one place to give them this good message. We got to stop the violence and so forth and so on. And so we hope that we have your support.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
I don't
you.
know if you all have any questions. I'm sorry.
Go right ahead. I was saying thank you. You seem very passionate about the event, so I appreciate that.
I am. My husband and I started it on our own, and we paid every dime for the event out of our pockets. We were truck drivers at the time when we started it in 2011, and we literally paid for everything, except people donated like hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff like that, but we paid for everything for years. And it's very important to me, and it's become very important to the community, and they look forward to it every year. So it's very important to me because my community, this is where my heart beats. This is my heartbeat. That's what makes my heart pop. Bring the community together. So yes, I'm very passionate about it.
Jim, you have a question?
Yes, Ms. Grant, thank you for your efforts. You're going to hold this event in People's Park?
In People's Park, a portion, while the live musical part would be at People's Park with a DJ, I also had the inside, because like a lot of times the seniors will come and they'll only stay for the first part of it, even though the weather is different because it's in October. But I also had the inside of Stanton Center as well. And so the seniors will have bingo in there, they'll have a space tournament, and they'll also have music inside as well.
And it's on the third, what date is it and what time? So it's going to run?
August the 21st, and it's from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m.
August?
Inside of the Stanton Center will be from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Did you say August?
Did I say August? I'm stuck in August.
Yeah,
We postponed it. October, I'm sorry. October the 21st.
Excellent.
October. And it's on the flyer, on the presentation as well that I sent to you all.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions from Ms. Grant?
I don't have any questions. All I'm hoping is I get a thumbs up so everybody can cheer like me. I'm excited.
The way the process works, Ms. Grant, is that we'll actually have a conversation after this, and then we'll reach out to you with our decision.
Yes. Say yes. The community is really looking forward to it. So,
all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I think process elimination would be up next is the Jazz and Roots Festival. Is that right, Mark?
Yep, I'm
All
promoting them now.
Ms. Teresa Seiss, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
And Ms. Phillips, hello.
Wait a minute, she is no longer Miss Seiss.
Oh, this is true. This is true. You're someone else. Well, but you are. You said you were.
Well, I kept my last name, but technically it's Mrs. Seiss.
Mrs. Seiss. Gotcha. My bad. I apologize. It's all new to me.
Same here. Still getting used to it.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining us. The floor is yours. Please take it away.
Thank you. Excellent. And perfect. Okay. Well, I shall start by sharing my screen. Thank you very much for guiding me at the beginning of the meeting, Mark.
So T, you're going to pull up the brochure, right?
Yes, ma'am. Should be coming up right now. Aha.
Success. All right. We got you.
Ta-da! So now I'm going to talk at this part. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So we have a theme every year. This is only our second year, and I wanted to remind everyone, please, that we only had 10 months to prepare for our first year. And at the time, up until a few weeks before we actually started our festival last year, we were still required to have 50% capacity at venues. So even though this is our second year, we're still, we haven't even had 2 full years of functioning as a nonprofit, you know, producing a festival. So we've been working very, very diligently, but we did want to remind you that we've gone very far with very little time to do it. And we have a theme. Annapolis celebrates a world of music. And our idea is to bring many different cultures and ethnicities into the festival so that people who live in this area can see a reflection of their own backgrounds there. And also so they can sort of take a trip. You know, it's as if they're traveling somewhere because they're going to hear people who they'd have to travel very far to hear. In some cases, you could hear some of these artists in Baltimore or Washington, but for probably between $50 and $100. So for many of them. So we're trying to match artistic excellence. That's one of our themes. And the other one is cultural diversity. So this year, we're going to start off with Hallie Schoenberg, who is one of the most accomplished woodwinds players in the what we call the DMV. You know, we're talking about Maryland and Washington, DC, and Virginia. And don't know what happened. Maybe we could just hold it still for a minute. Yeah. So anyway, so I got a little seasick there on the boat.
Sorry.
So Hallie has performed at the Kennedy Center, Strathmore, the Carlisle Club, every major museum in the DC area. She has toured in Europe. She's toured in Canada. And she'll be doing New Orleans jazz, and in her band are quite a few band leaders themselves, and they'll start off with Peerless Wrens. Now, I wanted to say something that, you know, we have 7 different presenting partners. So you're talking to us as a small nonprofit entity, but we have our branches out into the community. And I think that since we listened to some of your online meetings, it seemed that a lot of the commissioners had actually read our grant request pretty thoroughly. So I didn't really want to go through reading all of the letters from our supporting venues. But they were glowing, I have to say that. And we worked really hard to have good relationships with people. And we saw that we were bringing them income. We were helping them realize their mission statements. And we were also helping them bring more people into their facilities. And again, it's very easy to forget that there are still a lot of institutions and community organizations that have not truly fully recovered from the pandemic. They're not selling alcohol. I mean, if they all sold alcohol, they probably could have a lot more money and bring in a lot more people a lot faster. But, you know, they have different missions. And one thing we've been hearing from each venue, Peerless Wrens, from St. Luke's, and from the library, that we inspired them to have some of their own events. And so it's sort of like Johnny Appleseed, you know, planning these ideas that, oh, we can have a concert or we can have a panel discussion. And so that's been something that's been very satisfying to us, but we wanted to tell you about it because we feel that that's one of the things that we're accomplishing in the community. And if you, you know, look at our mission statement, one of the things that we do that we really take seriously is to work with other organizations and businesses to help them make the most of the resources that they have. So we're not doing this in isolation as some kind of, you know, closed group. So if you go down to the second picture on our boat there, that's Naomi Nati. They're West African drumming group. They're based in Baltimore. They've some of the members have recently come back from Ghana, where they were doing some more training, you know, in different rhythms that they weren't as proficient in. And they will be doing rhythms from different countries. And I don't know if you all go to the websites of the people who come to you to request grant funding, but there's so much information and so many groups. We can't go into, I'm sure you don't want us to go into too much detail about, you know, each one. But I do want to say that Ron McFarlane, who is going to play music from the British Isles, is a Grammy nominated player, and he's at the absolute top of his game internationally as a lutenist. Well, here's the funny thing. The lute was the most popular instrument in the Renaissance festival, Renaissance era. So you'd say, okay, why would you want to bring that to today's festival? Well, they're going to be playing some tunes that are literally centuries old, that are literally ancient, but they'll also be doing some contemporary tunes, and they're going to get kind of raucous at certain times. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. And then if, I don't know if you can see Hazel Mitchell Bell there in the white dress. And she is, she has performed in the county once before to a sold out audience. She seems to sell out wherever she goes, whether it's on the Eastern Shore or Virginia, Washington, DC. She's on tour right now in South America, and she'll be back just in time for the festival. And with her, now she is, Hazel is from the South. She's lived in DC most of her life, but the picture underneath her is Terry Koger. And he won an Annie Award last year. He's a saxophonist, and he'll be the featured musician. And I wanted to say that we have continued to take to heart some of the suggestions that we got from the commission last year, where you said, well, we do want to have more local involvement. So we have a lot of performers who are local, have local ties. And let me see, I'll mention maybe a few other things. There's something I'm very excited about. We're going to have a group called Melodic Intersect. Now, we don't have in this county a lot of music coming from India or Nepal or Bangladesh. And here we have an opportunity. And I had an experience. I had a flat tire. And I had a flat tire, and it was at a 7-Eleven. I went in, and the manager called AAA for me. So what happened is, in the course of a month, every time I went to a 7-Eleven, I found that the people behind the counter were from Nepal, Bangladesh, or India. And I thought, well, we have 7-Elevens all over this county. We must have an awful lot of people from South Asia. And a lot of them spoke 3 languages. I mean, you see some skinny kid behind the counter in a t-shirt, and you don't know that they speak, Nepalese and Indian, and probably English better than most of us do, So it's very exciting for me to think about our community and all these people I'm meeting all over Annapolis like this. So this group, Melodic Intersect, is actually based in Baltimore. One of the players has been teaching martial arts in the county here many years. So a lot of people know in Cape St. Clair, Greg Hatza. And David, I don't know if you know him, he was from Moon August. And then he has this thing called Greg Hatza Organization. So he was a college professor at Towson. But when you see him, he usually has a t-shirt without sleeves and a hat on, and he's part Greek, and he's been studying, it turns out, Indian music for 20 years. The other 2 players in the group are Anayat Hussain, who performs all over the world. He's performed, on the banks of the Ganges for like 30,000 people, that sort of thing. The other player in there, the sitar player, has played with the Rolling Stones, Usher, Alicia Keys, so that's a free concert, but it's not easy to do this. So our last group will be Amoroso this year. So that features Elizabeth Melvin, who, you know, we know as a multi-instrumentalist and a choir leader. She'll be there with Richard Rausch, but they'll have a pianist who's performed internationally. And then Leonardo and Bruno Lucini. Leonardo is a virtuoso bassist.
I know him. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's ridiculous.
he is. And he's played with top musicians in the world. And he's played at every major jazz club in DC, every major jazz club in New York, and with a lot of, on very many albums. And he's been a music director for a lot of artists. And most people don't know about that when he's working behind the scenes. So we're going to have them right down at St. Luke's. So here's what happened. It didn't look like we were going to be able to have a presentation for AIPPC. And of course, you didn't know about when the money was going to come for the hotel tax. So one thing that I did is that I had just changed one of the concerts to a ticketed concert. And it's the one that I thought would have the most mass appeal and could fit a lot of people in the audience. And that is Hazel Mitchell Bell with Terry Koger. And we do not want that to be a ticketed event. I mean, we don't want there to be admission charge. We want that to be free. And we would like you to help us make that free, because originally we had never planned to have, you know, half admission and half free concerts, or we wanted to have mostly free festival events. You know, that's part of our mission, to make arts accessible to people who don't have a lot of money, and also in neighborhoods where there is not music, you know, 7 nights a week. So let's see. Any questions so far, or should I? No.
I'm just looking at your schedule. So based on November 3rd through the 12th.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Haley. I see Chris Haley. Is he still on the bill as well?
Chris Haley. Chris Haley's subject is the thing that probably inspired us most for this year. What happened is we saw a plaque at St. Clement's Museum. It was across from where the Ark and the Dove came in the 1600s. And we saw this plaque, and it was it was about Matthias D'Souza being the first Black legislator in Maryland, and I never knew that. Now, I know there are people around town who know that, but a lot of people don't. So first thing I did when I got back is I called Chris and said, hey, how much do you know about this? You know, how come we don't all have Matthias D'Souza, you know, t-shirts and, you know, pictures on our walls and everything, because this is so exciting. And he said, well, there's not a lot known about him, but there's definitely enough to give a talk. And he said that what he could do is present the research that was available now from the Maryland State Archives, and then talk about indenture, talk about slavery, and talk about how that affected some of the prominent Black citizens in our state over the years. So it was, it's not music, but it was music to my ears. I mean, it was very exciting.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, and that is going to be at Eastport Annapolis Neck Library.
Cool.
And if you saw some of the pictures from last year in our brochure, we have one at of Eastport Annapolis Neck Library. And yeah, so that's when Vince was talking about the historic Black beaches. And that's, you're looking at the room from one side. If you see it the other, it looks even worse. I mean, it's so crowded. People were really excited about it. So we're very, very excited about it. And there are some themes here. We have the West African drummers. That was the idea of one of our partners, El Kebulon, because of course they're trying to bring out more of the history of the African diaspora. And so we found this drumming group. They do these drum patterns from at least 5 different West African countries. And for anyone who studied jazz, you know that these rhythms underlie jazz. It's fascinating. So we're starting off with something that what is one of the core elements of jazz. And then we have the lecture that Chris is going to give. And then we have Hazel Mitchell-Bell doing American jazz. So there's sort of a theme there. There's also another sub-theme, and to my way of looking, we have several groups that are led by women. And I remember over the years looking at people who were taking cruises, jazz cruises, and I'd look at the brochures and everyone was a guy. And then after a while, you'd see one token woman. Well, our first group, Hallie's Hot Gumbo Swing Tet, led by a woman. And then we have Hazel Mitchell-Bell, her group. And then we have Emma Rosso, and the co-leader is a woman. So that's sort of a sub-theme in there. And, empowerment and history and connection. So long answer to your short question.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah. So I've covered the brochure and the arts description, and I think y'all have read the letters of support, so we don't want to go into those too much. And then, Teresa, did you want to share the program cost sheet now?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked. Let me bring that up.
I was just looking at that, so you read my mind.
All right. Can everybody see that screen?
Not yet, thinking about it. There we go.
All right.
So November 4th, we left the first fee there because we wanted to show you what was happening. The library is contributing to the festival by paying for 2 of the events. So they're taking care of the fee for the West African drumming group. So, and let me see, do you want to scroll a little bit there? See?
Yep, scrolling up.
Okay, so Ron McFarlane, the programming costs are $2,550, and then we have rent and cleaning. Now, in the past, you guys haven't covered rent and cleaning, nothing but artist fees. But I'd like to explain why we put those fees in this year. There are a couple of things that happen. One, Anne Arundel County totally reorganized their grants. So we qualified for one of their grants. We will get half of the money October 15th and the other half in March. Well, our festival is in November. So I hope that's hitting you, because it's hitting us really hard. Okay, so that's one thing. Then the Maryland State Arts Council decided that they would change some of their some of the grants, I don't know what you call it, requirements. So they asked for this new number called a unique entity ID. And they made it seem that it would be really simple and anyone could get it. But what we found out after, I don't know, Teresa might have spent 20 hours trying to get it. I might have spent 10, and the treasurer of Annapolis Community Foundation has at least 10 hours, maybe, ridiculous. So what happens is they have a requirement, but you have to go on sam.gov to fulfill the requirement. And they have in mind a certain type of organization with certain types of papers. And the fact that Annapolis Community Foundation has been giving to this community for what, 2 decades? I don't know, long time. they're still having trouble meeting it. In fact, I had a meeting with Eric today, and he thinks he found a way to go ahead and get that. But they didn't want a post office box. They didn't want this paper. They didn't want that paper. They wanted odd documents that were stamped by some office. It was very, very strange. And we found out from the State Arts Council that we weren't the only ones having trouble with it, but there were organizations all over the state. So what did that mean? That set us back 3 months. And it was, as I said, it wasn't just us, it was many, many different people. And while I'm on the soapbox, I wanted to say that, you know, I've worked with grants for the state. I used to run the county arts grant program. I've worked a little bit with city grants, and I have obtained a National Endowment for the Arts grant for an organization. And I wanted to say that different organizations have strengths, like there are strengths that AIPPC has that the county doesn't have, and there are strengths the county has that, you know, different from the state. And I just wanted to tell you, you know, I pay a lot of attention to what's going on, and I think that that y'all have a good, how do you like that, a Canadian learning how to say y'all have you know, you have a good grant program. There are a lot of good things about it. They're all different, you know. And so when we were listening to the past meetings, you know, I know that there are things that are good about the county, but there are things, the county has some things that I wish they didn't, that the state has, and AIPPC. So I know you didn't just, you know, want to hear my opinion, but since it's not, we don't have these big open public meetings, so I don't get a chance to give feedback. And I thought that was important to say, because you know, I listened to several of those of your past meetings online, and I didn't know if you all really you know, knew what a contribution you were making in some ways that maybe some other organizations aren't, you know, they're structured differently. So but anyway, so the next group on here is November 10th. It's Melodic Intersect. And there's the fee, the artist fee for $2,300. And, you know, just so you know, I mean, they get a low fee for them is usually $5,000. If they're, you know, when he gets on a plane, either one of them, Hidayat or Anayat, if they get on a plane, they're going to be getting probably like $15,000, $20,000 for a performance. So it's a pretty good deal. And then we have the no, I'm sorry, excuse me a second.
Actually, that's a good. Yeah, we don't have to go through this entire list. I think we've read through that, and I think we kind of get in the gist of everything.
Yeah. So, but the thing I wanted to say is because of what has happened with all these other grant changes, that we really need the money, and we are asking for less. We're asking for $7,350 instead of $10,000.
Okay.
Because we were able to reduce some costs, and we you know, we do have 2 performances we're charging admission. But this is we really need it. It's not optional, and you know, as I said, we're still new and we're dealing with all these changes. So
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thank we appreciate the breakdown. And okay, so, yeah, it's definitely changed. I'm just looking at, I guess I have the older document, so this is the newest document.
Yeah. So the cleaning fees are the cleaning and rental fees, that really makes a huge difference to us. If you know.
Okay.
So I do have a question. Now we made a slight change on the application, and so you have the old application, you have the new one with a different amount requested.
Okay.
And we do have matching funds. We do have free programs. You know, a lot of people on our advisory board live in different wards in Annapolis, and the programming is innovative. So I hope you will
Gotcha.
look
Okay.
boy.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Phillips, Ms. Seiss, Mrs. Seiss? Going once, going twice. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for telling me how the process works. We will regroup and have a discussion, and we will get back to you with our decision.
All right. Can I ask about that? Because, okay, we had our first run of rack cards and our first run of the poster. Our website's up. So our graphic designer is just waiting to see if we get the AIPPC grant so that we can put it back up. But we can't print, we can't do another, we can't afford to just keep printing. So do you have some idea when that decision would be made or?
Probably. Well, we're gonna have a discussion after, because we have a lot, budget process has changed. So we need to kind of review some things. So hopefully in the next couple of days, we should be able to get back to you.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. And we really appreciate the time.
Cool. We thank you, appreciate your time as well.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
OBKB. You know what? Joe, help me out here. Are we moving on? We taking a vote on this, or are we moving on to unfinished business?
Normally we would do it now. I mean, now we would go back and go through the proposals one by one and hold a vote.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought. New process. I'm still getting a hold of it myself. So okay, cool. All right. First on the agenda was the Annapolis Symphony, the orchestra decorations. Trying to find it.
Move that we approve a grant of $2,000.
They were asking for 2,000,
Second.
right?
A second.
Yeah.
Second. All right, let's take a vote.
Hold on. I'm on a different document. Okay. David.
Yes.
Joe, I. Lynn.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Cynthia.
Aye.
Barbara.
Aye.
Carissa.
Is Carissa disconnected?
She looks like she's still online. Chris, are you still there?
Looks like she left. Hang on. No, she's still here.
Okay.
Asking her to unmute.
There she is.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. We're taking a vote, Carissa, on the $2,000 for the Friends of the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra Christmas tree ornaments. The vote on the floor is for $2,000. You still there? Looks like she's gone.
Now she's gone.
We lost her. We lost her.
Is she driving?
She's usually on a phone. For some odd reason, she
Yeah.
can't log into her computer, so she's always on the phone.
We could take her vote later if she gets back on.
Okay.
I would hope we
So-
can do that.
Let's see if we can grab her back. Okay. We'll hold on to that. Next
Okay.
up is, I'm sorry, were you saying something, Jim? Joe?
No, I'm sorry. I was talking to myself about the process.
Okay. We'll hold on. We're going to postpone that until we can grab
Yep.
Carissa. Okay.
Okay.
We're going to move on to Annapolis. The Fourth Ward Unity Day event. And they are asking for $10,000.
I would
Thoughts?
move that we grant them $10,000.
Anyone else have any thoughts? Floor is open for discussion. Barbara,
I make a motion that we put in for 5,000 for them.
there's a second.
Well, you have two motions on the floor. Normally, I would be asked to amend the motion. And I can choose to amend it or not amend it.
But you
And then
didn't get
you
a second, Jim.
Oh, I apologize.
Yes.
That's okay.
Okay, whatever. I'm fine. I don't mind.
And Lynn had her hand up.
No, I don't have the budget for that one in front of me. How much are they paying for the music? And maybe
She
that
does.
setup?
She does have the invoices for or the artist fees broken down individually in the proposal.
Okay.
And
See that?
yeah,
Let me see. I have a lot of things
The
pulled up. on my
music
screen.
yes, I know I do too.
He says, that
Yeah, I
seems
remember.
all high.
Was that Jim?
I think she it totaled $10,000 for the music. We weren't
Right.
paying anything else, I don't believe.
Yeah, I'm working on my work computer and this computer, so I'm a little disjointed myself. So I'm just
Yeah.
trying to, pardon me 1 second. I just wanted to,
I'm a little anxious about voting for that much money anyway, but I'm
And
Okay.
Carissa is back.
okay. Well, let's hold on one. Let's pause for a second. Chris, are you there?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here.
Okay. How much did you hear before we lost you?
I heard the full presentation and then connected, and then when you guys were checking on me to see if I was still here, somehow I ended up hitting a thing and had to get the number to call back. So
Okay.
I'm back.
So there's a vote on the floor to award the Annapolis Symphony Orchestra $2,000 for their Christmas tree ornaments.
Uh-huh.
So we're just waiting for your aye or your nay or aye on that.
I'll do aye on that. I'll be supportive on that.
Okay.
The only thing that my concern was, am I allowed to give input?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that I had concern about is that it didn't seem like they had researched how much supplies they needed. You know, like what the money was actually specifically going to be going for. It just said supplies. But other than that, I want to be supportive of them, so I'll say aye.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. People had to. All right, Lynn, your hand was still up. Because Cynthia had that question too, so I'll make sure I get to Cynthia's too, but I wanted to make sure.
No, I don't have a question. But Krista, I think that we can go back and ask them for a detailed budget. And even though we're going to fund them, we could still ask for a detailed budget
Cool.
so that we're clear.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay
for
for
our
this
reporting.
meeting, and yeah, I think it's fine for us to go ahead and you know, decide whether each member, commissioner wants to say aye or not. I thought they did a good presentation. But again, I'm just kind of used to having like a little bit more detail as to like what they spent last time on the supplies and why they need the full amount this time, or whether they needed more or maybe a little less or that sort of thing. But it's fine.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thanks, though.
Cool. And Cynthia, you had your hand up?
Yes, hi, this is on the second vote. I'm seconding Barbara's motion.
For 7,500?
No, 5,000.
Oh, 5,000, sorry.
Correct, for 5,000.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to award the Fourth Ward Unity Day $5,000. Let's take a vote.
David,
No.
Joe, aye. Lynn,
No.
I don't- Yeah, that's a reason for my no, but I guess we'll get to that later.
Oh, okay. Okay. My vote is no. I'll wait for David's reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jim,
Well, I hope I get to reconsider we get to reconsider the motion. I don't want to support 5,000. I wanted to support a little more.
Yeah, me
But-
too.
And I think we need to talk about that a little bit. I won't take time now. We're in the middle of a vote, but I hope we get a chance to say something about it and reflect on it. No.
thank you. Cynthia,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
Krista,
Oh, gosh, this is a hard one for me too, David, and to the rest of the commissioners. I want to say aye, but I'm not sure I want to say aye to this amount. So, and is it possible for me to pass?
Yes, you can abstain.
you can abstain, but that would make it, I think that would make it a tied vote.
Which then what happens?
Then
Can it open discussion? Can we open discussion after the tie vote?
Yeah, when did the discussion part happen? That's the part that always confuses me, that we'd like to have some discussion maybe sometimes before we vote, but.
This is one of the problems that we have. When we give people money, we have to have some way of warning them that this is not a continuing resolution where they get the money every year. And that
Jim, we're in the middle of a vote, and actually,
well, I thought
it's coming into Chris's vote.
Krista hasn't actually voted yet.
She hasn't voted yet.
I apologize.
Yeah.
I thought she had.
And I think, I mean, to Chris's concern, I think if the motion fails, then we can have another motion and discussion.
Okay.
So what if I pass, it puts it at a tie? Does that then mean we can have discussion?
To be honest, I would have to look it up on Robert's rules. I don't think it's happened to us.
You can't have a discussion during the vote. You can't have a discussion during the vote. You need to have the motion first. You need to have the motion, then a second, then you ask for discussion, then you call for the question.
Then vote.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna abstain on this.
Okay.
The motion fails to get the appropriate number of votes, correct?
Didn't get unanimous. We had.
I'm looking it up right now.
There were 4 votes against it, right?
No,
3 votes?
it was 3 to 3 to 1.
Well, it didn't get a majority of votes, so it can't pass.
Didn't get a majority of votes to fail either.
It doesn't matter. It's not
Correct.
negative. It's not a negative. It's you either get.
I'm actually Jim. I'm looking it up right now.
I understand. Okay, I read them. I know. Go ahead.
Trying to find, while that's happening, trying to find her itemized list. It's an individual list? Oh my God. What's that? Vendor application. Vendor application. Voice for. Oh, okay. They're all individual. Oh, man.
You need background music.
No.
All right.
Da, 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 dum, da, dum, dum, dum. Whatever.
You tried, Jim. You tried.
I'm not a good singer, so obviously that was.
Look at Genevieve missed her first tie vote.
Yeah, I mean,
Can we call her?
so here's the issue. Is that in order to pass, a motion has to receive majority support. And there are 7 people here and only 3 voted for the motion. That is not majority support. So the motion fails.
Okay.
According to my extensive research on Robert's Rules of Order, but that is clearly what it says. If the overall membership that's voting is 7, that requires 4 votes in order for a motion to pass.
Okay.
And that didn't happen. So
Okay.
the motion fails.
When
3
can
to
we-
3 to 1.
when
Motion
can we-
fails.
When can we have discussion on it?
Now someone can
Well,
make a
right.
new motion to fund the event, and then we would, once it was seconded, we would call for discussion.
Okay. I make a motion for the fund them $7,500.
I second that.
Okay. Any discussion, any issue, any questions, comments, suggestions from anyone?
Well, the gun is at our head because if we don't vote to give her the money tonight, she's going to be out of luck. So I'm
Right.
happy to support $7,500.
Yeah,
So I
consider the
vote
rest of the cost is coming out of her. Well, they actually, like I said, they raised some of the rest of the money as well. Okay. See, there's our background music right there.
Background music. There we go.
All right. Yes, Barbara.
Yeah, just looking at my notes, she mentioned that they raised about 5,000 fundraising, and the money that she was asking is for the performers. So that's why I think we should go ahead and fund them, and I would support the 7,500, which would be more than my original.
Okay. Thank you, Barbara. Lynn?
I can't find the itemized budget. I just want to make sure that whatever amount it is that we're funding them agrees with our guidelines, so that if we're audited, then we can justify the amount awarded.
Yeah, I'm looking through the applications. There's a lot of stuff for vendor applications, but I don't see a list.
You actually kind of have to go at like every third one is the artist fee. I know what you're saying.
Yes.
But you have to kind of scroll through them all.
But it does exist though.
And which guideline are you concerned about, Lynn? Because I might be able to. I'm
Okay.
inside the document right now.
So we can only fund the arts part, right? So any other pieces of that, the production of the performance or whatever, we can fund that. The performance, the production of the performance, but we couldn't fund, and I guess we could fund setup of chairs and stuff like that, but we couldn't fund like
Sound.
the resource fair and the other stuff she was talking about.
Right.
No,
Right.
and she's got it pretty itemized. I mean, basically, the original ask adds up to the artist fees, and yeah.
Didn't she say also that one of the bands can't make it, so the amount was going to be a little less too? Or the
Yeah,
band?
I thought I heard that as
Say
well.
something like that. Yeah, I thought you heard that. So,
So the original ask was $10,000 and that was the total of the artist fees?
Correct.
I thought so. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to be snide about it.
No, I mean, that's a good question. I
I
understand.
mean, I really think we've spent a lot of time on this, so we need to make a decision.
Yeah.
I
Mr. Chairman.
I really want to see her get the $10,000 she needs. Next year, it may be a different story when we tell her that we have a different plan.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that we call for the question.
Call the question on the vote.
Mhm.
Okay, let's vote.
David,
Aye.
Joe, I, Lynn,
Aye.
Jim,
I really wanted to hold out for the 10,000, but we've been that way. So I'll go yes for this.
Cynthia,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
and Krista.
Aye.
Motion passes
Good.
for $7,500.
Okay.
All right, moving on to Speed of Art. Next up is $10,000 for the Annapolis Jazz and Roots Festival.
They've amended that.
All right,
So-
it's okay. It's 7,300,
7350.
7,350.
I move that we award the Annapolis Jazz and Roots Festival $7,350.
I'll second that.
A second. Okay. Either way,
Okay.
I second it also.
Floor is open for discussion.
I have a question. Didn't she say that she wanted $7,680, 350 or 330 for cleaning? I don't think we fund cleaning.
We don't fund cleaning.
No.
Okay, so the 7,350 is what she asked for.
Correct.
Third it.
Okay, any other questions, thoughts, comments? Okay, can we take a vote, please?
David,
Aye.
Joe, I, Lynn,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Cynthia.
This is for 7330?
Correct.
7350.
Aye.
Barbara
Aye.
and Krista.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. All three passes. We'll send in them correspondence out to them, I guess, for the next couple of days with the, I'll reach out to Genevieve and let her know what's going on and we can work with her. And I think Ashley has to create something and send them, from a membership, a contract, basically.
I send them a notice of decision. That notification can't go out officially until we approve the minutes, which we do after the next meeting. That's when because that's when our votes become official.
Got it. Cool. All right. Learn something new every day. How cool is that?
Weird.
All right. Next up on our agenda, Jim, you kind of alluded to this earlier, the budgeting and process update. You thought you had some ideas or an idea? Is this
Yes,
something you want to come back to, or?
I'll be really quick now, and then we can maybe have a committee meet and talk about this because we really should thrash this out. If we get, say, $150,000 and it's for 1 quarter, then we have this meeting schedule which doesn't sync with anything. So I think we need to figure out, are we going to sync with that 3 times a year amount? And then we need to divide it up and figure out how much we want to spend. I thought we should set aside $25,000 for a large grant or for a large amount to sock away somewhere, and that all the subsequent grants should be a divisible or a multiple of $2,500. And simplify this process, or whatever that number we choose, so that we have a sort of a standardized way of saying, well, we don't give $7,350, we give $7,500, or we give $5,000, whatever it is, whatever it is. That's something a committee should talk about. We shouldn't waste time tonight doing it.
Okay.
But I'm hoping that we can come up with a mindful way of doing this. Also, I just wanted to say one other thing. I have never really been able to figure out the budget based on the information we get. I mean, it doesn't make sense because there are numbers that are there, but where did they come from? And I would like us to, and I'll be glad to do it, is to modify the spreadsheet of the money that we paid out so that it fits on one 8.5 by 11 horizontal, as opposed to spreading over multiple pages, and get it consolidated to one sheet of paper, and it'll still be readable, hopefully. That's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Lynn, you had your hand up.
I do, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion
Okay,
that we request the chair to select a ad hoc subcommittee to deal with the budget issues and the budget and payment issues. Is that right, everybody? Did I say that right?
okay,
You said it right.
okay,
And that committee would make a report, and it would not be a decision of the board or the commission until after we've had a chance to talk about the report.
The ad hoc committee would just look at the process for our revenue.
Good.
And so maybe that's my motion. So let me restate my motion.
Yes,
okay,
good.
I want to make a motion that the chair select an ad hoc subcommittee to review and establish the actual process for knowing the amount of our revenue and being paid and making that available. That's it.
okay.
Okay.
Is there
Second.
the second? Joe had, now I'm all confused because Joe has his hand up.
That's okay. I have a couple of, I mean, if we're having discussion on this motion, most of what I was going to say is still relevant, but let me confirm the language of this first. The chair selects an ad hoc committee to review and establish processes for
Committee spending, maybe?
Well, it's more about the revenue.
Yeah.
It's more about the
Yes.
revenue, not the expenditures. So to establish process for
Obtaining our
reporting,
revenue or
for revenue reports and payments.
yes.
This is Krista. Is it possible that we table this motion until Genevieve gets back? David, no offense to you, but I think we should table this till Genevieve gets back.
Well, she can still make a motion.
I'm not saying it's, well, yeah, you can, but
You can still make a motion and we still have to get a second to vote.
I seem
There's
to
nothing to do with
recall
me or
that all of the commission. I seem to recall that all of the commissioners have a say in the process of budget. So I know you're trying to do like a pre-meeting to kind of go over things, etc. But I do think that all members need to be present for budgetary decisions.
This is not about the budget. This is not about the budget. This is just
It's about processes that have to do with the
hang on,
budget,
Krista.
right?
This is just about getting the city of Annapolis to tell us annually how much we are to be paid and how that will be paid to us. It is not about budget. Whether we need to do a Public Information Act request or if they will just tell us. That is the sole reason for the motion. Just to find out how much we're supposed to get, because they know.
The motion has been seconded as well.
Okay.
So if I can just, this is informational, kind of based on a couple things Jim said and that Lynn has said as well. I mean, to be clear, the 150,000 that was in our budget, that is not necessarily predictive of what we'll get on a quarterly basis. And also, Genevieve only received that budget report whenever the day she sent that email, as opposed to on the 15th day of the month, which is the standard day. And it was only on receiving that budget report that she confirmed that we have funds available. And that was, as far as I understood the email trail, not really the source by which she should have found out that we had funds available. So there's a huge disconnect that, like, us as volunteers have no control over. And I do think it would be a value. One of the things she did say, as she was kind of making sure David and I had sort of the information for tonight, is that she's requested a meeting with City Finance and Parks and Rec, which we operate under, to basically address all of these issues, the kind of the sort of the disconnecting communication, the lack of predictability, all of that. And so to me, this motion essentially just allows more commissioners to be part of that conversation, and then report back to the commission as a whole what that process is from the city. Because this is not about our funding, and we're not even talking about disbursement, right? We're just talking about, like, how do we know what money we have, and how can we possibly predict? And the frustrating part is we're the kind of public facing people in this, you know, and I think a lot of folks who submit proposals to us, you know, we're just volunteers. We have no control over that money. But I think the breakdown in that process, the first people who feel the heat from that are the commission. And that's the other piece that needs to get resolved. So to the extent, yeah, go ahead.
The other thing, Carissa, is if we have all of the commissioners as a part of it, it has to be televised. Or it has to be streamed.
I think I was trying to read through her emails and correspondence, and I'm not quite sure it is $150,000. I think that's what's left after we factor in all the stuff that we have to do that's already encumbered. So I'm not quite sure it's $150,000 that we actually receive. And that's to everybody's point. We have no idea how much money we're going to get, when we're going to get it, how we're going to get it. So I understand the point. It's not about the budget. It's like finding out when are we getting our money so we can have a process for that and know going forward. So we can deal with angry vendors who are postponing their events because they don't have any money because they haven't been able to present. So, okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Can we take any other conversation, thoughts?
Yes, I have something more to say.
Go for it.
First of all, I want to thank Lynn. She hit it right on the head. The bottom line is the legislature defined that money as our money, this commission's money, and the city can only transfer it to us or to our account so that we know how much that is. And, you know, all this malarkey about 1/3 of it and maybe some of this and some of that, I think we really have to have a better relationship with the finance department, or go back to the legislature and get that straightened out, because we are now in September, and this was something that was collected by July 1st. And I can't believe that it's taken the city 4 months or 3 months, whatever, to come up with a number for us. And we still don't know what that number is for sure. So I think that this has got to be straightened out. It's not fair to the people out there in the city who are looking forward to this money to help them in their projects. It's not fair to the commissioners. And we keep getting back at each other about, you know, well, this is how much, you know, we don't know. So let's just get it straight. And I think the motion is a good motion and we should support it.
Well, speaking of which,
And I have
let's have
one
a vote.
question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I have one more question. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Did you said that Genevieve had a meeting that was coming up, or
No.
she's requesting a meeting?
requesting a
Just
meeting.
just requesting a meeting? Okay, I see. Because I
She's
thought
been
she had
requesting
the
meetings for the
set up.
last month and a half, basically.
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
She's frustrated too.
Yeah, I mean, she's been
Yeah,
asking.
no, I know she is. Yep.
Okay.
And
Are
then
we ready
we'll
to take a
all
vote?
have that information.
Yeah, I'm gonna call the question, I think.
Okay, let's take a vote, please.
Uh, all in favor of the motion for the chair to select an ad hoc committee to review and establish processes for the AIPPC Commission to receive revenue reports and payments from the city of Annapolis. Please say aye. David.
Aye.
Joe, aye. Lynn.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Cynthia.
Aye.
Barbara.
Aye.
Krista.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. All right, well.
Good. That was a good motion.
Cool. Yes, Brian.
I am kind of surprised that a month and a half, you said a month and a half you've been asking for meetings? Because I could have a meeting set up like tomorrow.
Brian, you were on the emails that she sent out, basically when people start asking for money, and I think Genevieve replied to your email. She's reached out to a number of different people in the city, and it wasn't until literally like 3 or 4 days ago that we got a response.
Because I can get a meeting set up.
Well, there you go. Action item from Brian. But we have a couple other agenda items first, so Brian, we'll come back to you. Last thing under unfinished business is Westgate Circle project update. Basically, according to our deadline, we received 42 applicants. Those applicants are currently under review to make sure they meet our standards. Standards being that they are able to produce large-scale sculpture events, that they adhere to our deadline, to our guidelines that were in the RFP. And I think that'll be narrowed down to, once they kind of narrow that down to those people who are qualified. And then that's where we'll kind of enact the subcommittee, which will be made up of 3 committee members and 3 members from the general public to review that and kind of move through that process that Genevieve had explained earlier. So just to let you know that we did have some 42 people apply, which is cool. More than I thought would apply, which is great. And so that's basically the status I have on that. And I think in case you're wondering right now, it's through, trying to make sure I have so much stuff. People helping with the Arts Council of Anne Arundel County, the people helping to make sure these folks adhere to the guidelines of the proposal.
Will we ever see those 42 applications, or will that simply just be for a subcommittee to deal with that?
That's a good question. I'll take that.
Not that we're going to vote on it. It's just that.
Yeah.
I can answer that. Since it was an RFQ, you won't see all 42 because some of them may not meet the qualification. And so then the ones who do will be asked to submit full proposals. And then I think those are the ones that get vetted by the committee that gets established. That's a subset of us plus the 3 outside people. I think it's the committee's recommendation that then comes back to the full commission. Does that make sense?
So we're going to vote on the recommendation of the committee.
It comes back to the commission through the committee. Yes, that is correct. But the short answer is no, you're not going to see all 42 because yes,
Okay.
correct. Cool. Yep.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Next on our agenda is any new business?
Oh, God, no. Oh,
Speak your mind, Jim. You're good.
That's what the mute button's for, Jim.
Now it turns on. Any open discussion? Once, twice. Okay. Cool. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Cool. All right, Genevieve will be welcomed back next week or next month. Let me tell you.
Thank
Thank-
everyone. We had
Thank
a
you
good
all.
meeting.